Hey, what's up YouTube? Mark Abram here with the Resistance Barbell Club. We're bringing you guys another workout video today. We've got Christina Scoggins here, so this workout ought to be a good one. Here we go.
Hey YouTube, I'm Christina Scoggins. I'm an IPE bikini pro and an amateur kickboxer. Today I'm at the Resistance Barbell Club and I'm going to take you through a glute and hamstring workout. Alright, so I'm going to start off with a pause squat. Usually for the first set I just do a warm up, so no weight on the bar, just make sure all of my settings are right. So we'll just go ahead and hop into it. So we'll start bar, upper traps, kind of just wherever's comfortable. I'll usually go a little bit wider than shoulder width apart and turn my toes out just a little bit. And then we're gonna squat. And at the bottom, when you hit parallel, you're gonna hold for 3 seconds. So you should go 1, 2, 3, and up. And right back down. We're pausing and holding for 3 seconds. And up. So this is just the warm up. So I'll usually just do like 8 to 10 reps on the warm up, just trying to get those muscles in the legs firing. One thing on this too, make sure you're not dropping your chest too far forward. Keep your core tight and up. All right. So for this, I'll pretty much just do 3 working sets. This being a compound movement, I kind of just use it as a warm up for the rest of the leg day. I don't really squat heavy that often. I used to, it's not a big focus of mine anymore. So now I just go lighter weight and just try and keep the reps high. And since we are doing a pause at the bottom, that makes it a little bit harder, obviously. I keep the weight lighter for that reason. We're gonna hit 8 to 10 reps. Obviously, if you can do more, and then add weight the next time. 1, 2, 3. All right. It's really easy on that one too, to skip the full 3 seconds at the pause at the bottom because you're getting tired. Don't give up on the 3 seconds. That's why we have these here. So if you can't make it the full 3 seconds, just set the bar down, get up, try again the next set.
That's good advice.
All right, so next up on the list, we're gonna do hip thrust, glute bridge. I call it the booty builder. It has a lot of different names, so
yes,
we'll head over that
lots
way.
of names.
For this one, on my first set, same thing, just kind of treat it as like a warm-up set for the first one. So we'll go a little lighter. Just gonna throw the 25s on there, make sure I have my form down. And foot placement and everything else is good before I start to add weight, because adding weight with bad form is pointless. It's always a better, safer option to go with lighter weight, get your form down perfect. There's no need to just throw 3 plates on there just so you can thrust it a tiny, tiny bit. You're way better off doing 15, 20 reps of a lighter weight with perfect form.
That's right. So many people are under the impression they've got to lift really heavy weight to gain muscle.
Yep.
And that's really not the case.
Okay, so this one I pretty much have to readjust my feet every time, but I usually start a little bit wider than shoulder width apart. I'll lay back, and all these machines are a little different, so you kind of just have to put this wherever feels comfortable. Sometimes it digs into your hips, but sometimes we have to suffer for the gains, so that's just part of the game. So we'll clip that in. Usually kind of sit up a little bit, check my feet. These little lines on here, I always try and like use them to mark where my toes are. So it'll be like, if this is the perfect spot for me, then I know every time I come in, I put my toes on the 4th line from the top. So that's one easy way to remember where you're at. So we're gonna grab one of these handles, push up, push this forward, and slowly lower it down. And then drive your hips up and squeeze your glutes at the top. So on this one, I once heard a coach say, it's easy to think about, instead of thinking about pushing your hips up, think about if you were gonna roll back over and do like a backwards roll. So if you've ever done gymnastics or anything like that, so you just push up and pretend like you're gonna roll backwards.
Oh, yeah,
for me, I
that's
found
good
that
advice.
really helps find it in my glutes versus like feeling it in my quads. Once again, this is a warm-up set, so this is the perfect time to really, really focus on that mind-muscle connection. You're going lighter, so really squeeze your glutes at the top and hold. And slowly lower back down. Also, don't hold on to this because that's just gonna help you out. All right.
So Christina, how many bikini competitions have you been in for Bikini Fit?
6. So I did.
6.
I've done 3 amateur shows and 3 pro shows. So 5 of those shows all happened last year.
Oh, all in 1 year.
So it was a very full year of competing for me last year.
So you have your pro card. Is it what category? Is it NPC or
It's called
IPE?
IPE, so it's through
IPE,
the
okay.
NAMBF, which is the natural competing. They give everyone a lie detector test, whatever those are called, where they strap you up.
Yeah, polygraph.
Polygraph
Yeah.
before the show, and then if you place top 3 in your open class, you take a drug test after you compete. So if the first place winner fails their drug test, then whoever plays second will earn first. But
Okay, I see.
I think it pretty rarely happens. I was talking to one of the polygraph people once, and he said he'd only had it happen once or twice in the last 2 or 3 years. So
Yeah.
for this set, I'm gonna do it slightly different. Every other rep, I'll do a pause, so I won't go all the way down. I think it's called a CAS glute bridge. Not sure the pronunciation because I just learned that it had a name. So I'll do 1 full rep, and then I'll go halfway down and then back up. So that shortening of the motion allows for more time under tension, so the glutes are activated for longer. Sometimes if you drop all the way down, it's easy to hit the bottom and you get to relax a little bit. So by adding in that pause, it just keeps the time under tension a little bit longer and your glutes more activated. Same thing, push up, down. So this one I'll go down the full rep and up, and then I'll stop about halfway, there, and back up. So then we'll go all the way down and up, and then pause at about halfway and come back up. I'll still usually do about 12 reps of this. So you're getting 6 full reps and 6 of the half reps. And we'll do 4 sets of this one. That's rough.
Okay, Christina, what's your favorite source of protein?
Probably ground beef.
Okay.
Or egg whites.
Okay.
I got on a really big ground beef and egg white kick my last prep, to the point where my only meat I was eating was ground beef because chicken just grossed me out.
Okay.
For some reason, it doesn't now, and I don't like fish. So I usually go the 93.7 because it's a leaner protein for the beef.
Yes.
And then egg whites are just pure protein, so.
I know a lot of people just drink egg whites. Do you ever do that? Do you ever buy a carton of egg whites?
I like to cook the egg whites. If you're really bulking and just needed to get the calories down, I understand drinking them.
Yeah.
But for me, cooking them, they get so fluffy, so it's really filling. So it's a good I want my stomach to feel full when I'm dieting.
Yeah.
So by cooking the egg whites, I feel like I'm eating a lot of food, even if it's just half a cup or a cup of egg whites. It looks like a lot more than if I was just chugging them down.
Consuming
my
it,
stomach's more full. So.
Yeah. Okay, what are we doing next?
We're gonna do some RDLs, dumbbell RDLs. Dumbbell RDLs, so these are a hamstring focused movement. One of my favorites. It's honestly one of the first hamstring movements I did where I could actually got really good mind muscle connection. Doing the seated hamstring curls and the lying ones were really hard for me to actually lift any weight, and I just couldn't really feel my hamstring. So when I started doing these, I was like, oh yeah, this is the hamstring movement for me. You can also do a barbell variation if you prefer. A lot of people will wear straps so you can hold heavier weight. Occasionally I will on my 3rd or 4th set. I like to try and help my grip strength by not using them. So basically we'll just not use them until I'm so fatigued that I'm doing my legs a disservice by not using them. So usually I'll wait till the 3rd or 4th set to put on any sort of strap. So we'll go about shoulder width apart. Sometimes I go a little narrower on these than I would for a squat. Have a slight bend in the knee. And basically you're just gonna let the dumbbells glide down the front of your leg like that. So knees slightly bent, we're pushing the hips back so you get about here, and then lift back up. So on these, I like to lower really slowly, really everything. The slower you go, I feel well, 1, you get more time under tension, but 2, it forces you to really focus on the muscles you're moving. If you're going too fast, I feel you lose out on some good mind muscle connection, so always better to go slow. Push your hips out and back up. Once I start to hit about here, I'm really thinking about my hamstrings, feel the stretch, and then come back up. I usually do 10 to 12 reps, 4 sets. For some reason these, I get way more fatigued on. So usually by like my 4th set, sometimes I'm only getting 7 or 8 reps, but
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about these. I could just drop weight, I guess, but I like to get some really heavy, good reps in at least for the first few sets. So
Right. This is a good exercise for anybody, advanced, beginner, everyone.
Yeah.
This is a good one.
you can always start with no weight too. You know, just like
Yeah.
everything you do, just practice the movement first before you
Yeah.
add weight. Start light, feels good, go up in weight.
So Christina, I know you're also a kickboxer, right?
Yeah.
So you actually compete in kickboxing. How many matches have you had so far?
I've had 1 boxing match and 1 kickboxing match.
Okay.
My kickboxing fight was in November, so that one's a little more recent. But planning to get on at least a few more cards this year. So
How long have you been training?
I started boxing when I was about 16,
Okay.
and then I'm 25 for reference, so
Okay,
a
okay.
while. And then I started kickboxing probably when I was like 23. So a little bit later on, my coach was like, "Hey, you've got strong legs, you should use them." So
Yeah.
it told me to start kicking, so we did. Haven't looked back.
Do you have a favorite combination that you?
Well, my favorite punch is the Superman punch. It's not a combination, but you do have to like set it up
Yeah.
usually for an opening. I can demonstrate, I guess.
What does that look like? Sort of. Just sort of.
So-
What would
The
you?
main reason I started using this is because when I'm sparring with guys in the gym, a lot of them are taller than me. So I have a disadvantage when it comes to reach, right? So like if I throw a punch, I'm still inches away from their face, but they can still reach me.
Okay.
So my way around that is the Superman punch, which is
Okay.
basically just like a flying punch.
yeah,
so it
okay.
allows you to like
Yes.
get up over the person's hands
Okay.
and down to their face. So that's my favorite
Very
punch.
cool.
Other thing on these, don't stand up like this. It's always better to grab the weights and stand up straight. You
Right.
bend your back weird.
Protect your back.
Good way to injure yourself. So like before, we're going a little bit narrower, right at about shoulder width. And we're pushing our hips back first. That's the first part of the movement.
Okay.
Hips back and up. You also want to keep the dumbbells as close to your legs as possible, because the further out you hang them, that can also hurt your lower back. So just try and keep them as close to your legs as possible. Same thing if you're using a barbell. All right, we're gonna do glute kickback. So this is a glute isolation movement. I usually like to do these towards the end of my workout when all the other parts of my leg are exhausted. We can just like really focus on the glute. I'll usually do 4 sets and then 15 to 20 reps. So really high rep on these for each leg because we're going lighter weight. Another thing that's important, honestly, anytime you're splitting up and doing like one leg and then the other, is to rest in between each leg. So even though I'm only working this side of my body, you're working your heart too, right? Even though it's not like a high intensity workout, but taking the rest in between each leg really ensures that you're also gonna give your all to the other side as well. So I don't like to just do one and then hop right into the other. All right, so this, I'll usually step far enough away from the cable so that when my foot goes forward, the weight doesn't touch, because we want to keep resistance.
Okay.
So I'm standing on my left leg, hips out just a little bit, and then we're going to keep a slight bend in the knee and kick up and back. So we'll just glide forward, don't allow the weight to touch, and then kick up and hold. So we're doing 15, 3. Same thing, make sure you're going slow. It allows you to focus more on your glute. So squeeze at the top and then back down. So another thing on these, I've seen a lot of different variations. Some people will lean like all the way forward, almost like a donkey kick. And then some people will stand like straight up and kick back. As long as you feel it in your glute, I feel like it's fair to do any of the variations.
Okay.
If you don't feel it in your glute, you're probably doing it wrong. If you feel it in your glute, you're probably okay. So like I said, we'll take this off, switch to the next leg. I'll take like a 45-second to 60-second rest in between each leg. Whereas like on heavier movements, I'll usually take about 90 seconds, so like a minute and a half. So if I'm squatting, doing hip thrusts, something like that, 90-second rest. For something like this, it's a little bit lighter. I'll usually just do like 45 seconds to a minute before switching to the next leg. All right, so moving on to the other leg. So I'm standing on my right leg, kicking back my left, bending both knees a little bit, and then we're gonna kick back and squeeze the glute at the top. So see, I'm keeping my knee bent. If you straighten out your leg, it works your hamstring a little bit more.
Okay.
So by keeping it bent, we're really isolating the glute here. Slow and controlled. Sometimes I have to remind myself, because a lot of times towards the end of the set, when you start to get tired, that's when it's easy just to speed through it. But that's also when it's the most important time to really slow down and get the most out of your set. I'll finish off the workout with hip abductions. I usually save these for the end. It's either one or the other. I either do them at the very beginning to kind of get my glutes a little bit more activated, or I'll do them at the very end because everything's exhausted and I do this as just like a good finisher. I've had a lot of people ask me like, say like hip adduction versus hip abduction. The words sound very similar, but they're two different things. One's working the outside, one works the inside. So the way I always remembered it was, if you're doing a hip adduction, you're adding your legs together, like bringing them together.
Okay.
So we're adding our legs, adductor, and then abduction is just the other one. So I don't have any one for that, but
You don't need
if you
one for
remember
the other
one,
There's only
you'll
one
remember
left.
the other. So for these, I go higher rep as well. There's not really a set count because for the first 10, I'll go out here and hold for 3 seconds and then back in. So same thing, we're getting a lot of really good time under tension by holding. Out. So we'll do that for the first 10. And then after I've done 10 of those, I'll just rep them out. As many reps as possible until failure. And then I'll do it again. We'll do 4 sets of that. On this one too, sometimes you have to adjust, like if you lean back, sometimes it's harder. I'll feel it more up here versus in like my glutes. So I found that if I either sit up straight or depending on the machine, if I lean forward a little bit, I can feel it in the glutes a little bit more. It really just depends on the piece of equipment and sometimes your foot placement too. So you just have to move around until you can feel it right here. All right, so once we get to 10, now I'm just gonna rep them out, no pause, pretty much until you just like can't open your legs anymore. All right, so same thing on all 4 sets. First 10 reps, we're going out and holding for 3, and then back in. Another thing too, don't let the weight drop. When you close your legs together, you can watch the weights too. That's just another way to allow for, you know, maximum time under tension, right? Because as soon as you set those weights all the way down, you're losing the tension. So we're going for 10 of the pause reps. And I'm already shaking. Also, I have no idea how many I've done. Just go till it sucks. Yeah, so that's one I like to finish with just because it is such like, it's a lot of reps and really just a burnout. So it really gives you the opportunity to just work until you're absolutely fatigued and then you just get to go home, so.
Okay, YouTube, I told you guys that was going to be a good one. We're going to put a link to Christina's Instagram at the bottom. Be sure and hit that like button and subscribe to our channel if you haven't subscribed already. And we'll see you on the next video.